Hi, my name is Ben Green. I've been working at Santander for the last couple of years running their innovation strategy. Before that, I've been working in financial services for about 10-15 years or so across various different banks, and also supporting my own businesses as an entrepreneur. So I have an interesting perspective between the big world and the small world. And most recently, we've been launching Kitti, our new business, which is supporting groups of people with an account that works for them as a group rather than them as an individual. I think that the top tip for digital physical engagement is probably a not obvious one from the outside. We've struggled with it ourselves a number of times within financial services and within other verticals as well. It's around organising yourself. It's not necessarily around having the appropriate focus on the customer or having the appropriate processes in place. It really is around organisational structure. You've got a team of people who for the last maybe 10 years or so have been building a digital competence and a digital capability, who traditionally have never been directly connected to the people who've been running the physical kind of bricks and mortar side of the establishment. Now increasingly the consumer is operating directly between those two, and increasingly the consumer is oscillating very quickly between those two touch points. So structurally, we as organisations then need to merge our own house together so that we're reflecting much more directly what it is that the consumer is both doing and what they want. Bringing together the physical life of the customer and the digital life of the customer is again a fantastically important thing for all of us to get right. The example I use often is I walk in through my front door and my smart device immediately pairs with my home hub with my Wi-Fi. And yet there's no richness in that dialogue necessarily. The provider of that home hub could easily give me a whole bunch of information based on what time it is, what day it is, my previous kind of browsing history, and at the moment that is something of a missed opportunity which increasingly you're going to see people taking advantage of. You can also take the extension of the smart device as the identifier of you. It's got lots of information about you. More often than not, it's also now got your banking details, many banking details on it. What happens then if you walk out of your home and you walk into your car? I mean, your car is effectively a very expensive space in which you spend a lot of time if you commute backwards and forwards from places. That intelligence can be brought into the car as well, and it can be brought into your journey from wherever you're going, especially pointing out kind of leisure opportunities. There are a whole host of things whereby the physical and the digital can give each other both stimulus and feedback to improve the relevancy of the experience that the customer is going to get. That the retailers or the service providers who begin to get that right will immediately differentiate to a generation of early adopters, digitally engaged people who want to take advantage of that richness of experience. There's no doubt that there is a demand for consumers to get into this kind of digitisation, wearable commoditisation of increasingly smart devices. But what they're wanting to do, and increasingly now what they are doing and trying to do, is to bring that into the real world. So you have this clash, as you put it, say physical meets digital, and what's happening is that the digital world, because it's physical, it's often harder and slower to change, hasn't yet responded. So actually, when it does, it's going to be quite an interesting exercise to say consumers are ready and happy to start spending more and more time and investment in their digital personas and their digital lives, and they're now starting to want to bring those into buying things in shops. But of course the retail footprint and format hasn't yet really adapted. You can do kind of click and collect, but you know that's the start of something, it's not the end of the journey. So retailers are going to have to now look at both their digital estate and their retail estate and say, I've invested a load of money over here in my digital estate changing things, and I've got really good at changing them really quickly. Oh, hang on a minute, now I've got to do something with my physical estate too. And organisationally, they're just not set up to do that yet. And I think that will be the next really interesting moment for organisations as those two worlds come together, focused on the customer. I think Kitti set out from its very start to recognise that it was replacing or sitting alongside a very physical analogue tradition. So the kitty, the jam jar I've got on my hoodie, the pint pot that we talk about when we go out and chat to people, that's something everybody understands. And therefore what we're doing is making a very direct reference to all that we are doing is now bringing this into the digital world as well. And actually Kitti comes with its very, very physical card for a reason, because when we go out and talk to people and say, oh, we've got this groovy mobile app, they'll go, yeah, that's great, yeah, and they listen intently. It comes with a physical card. Oh, great, I've got something to hang on to, something tangible. And you can use it in shops. Yeah, great, because I spend a lot of time in shops. So we've been very cognizant of the fact that we're moving from an analog paradigm in the Kitti to a digital experience of that. We don't want to lose any of the benefit and any of the psychology that's come from this great physical thing we're all used to.